Hello, kiddies. Welcome to Sports Frenzy 2.0, the weekend edition, here dropping on August 21st as we record on the 18th. I'm the Conquistador Dave Height.
Along with the maestro, Kevin Crane.
And we're going to start this weekend off reviewing the Counting Crows concert we just attended.
Yes, we're getting into a very heavy part of our concert schedule.
Yes.
So we've got one this week. I'll have
and again,
two next week. We'll have one mutual.
Again, our recording schedule is off because as this hits the night before, we will be at another show.
Right. But we'll catch you up on that next week. We're just glad, like Adam Duritz of the Counting Crows said, just glad to be back getting live music.
Yes.
We've had a couple. We had Warrant. We had Jimmy Buffett.
Yep, and now we're starting to get into a full swing. This next month has a lot for us.
Right. And hopefully COVID will not rear its ugly head. We'll talk about that in a little bit because it is.
It's starting
on some front. But I was just happy. Let me put it this way. This isn't story time, but this is an aside. This is Uncle Kev's aside. I do try to push as many concerts as I can on my brother from another mother, the Conquistador, and his wife, Mrs. C. Because I don't take vacations. All I want to do is see concerts with that type of money. I don't want to spend $2,000, $3,000 on a week in the Bahamas. I would rather see 8 or 10 concerts. To me, that is a vacation.
There you go.
So, after the Dave Matthews Band,
the years of badgering to get me to go to see them in concert, I finally caved.
Back just before the late summer before COVID hit. And he has never let me live it down. Never.
And never will. It was the worst experience of my life. I do not like Dave Matthews Band. I went to appease my brother here and was miserable, and my wife, and was miserable the entire show.
And it was a great show, kids.
No, it wasn't. No, it really wasn't.
You will understand my trepidation and my fear as he reluctantly agreed to go see the Counting Crows for the first time.
I like them, but not love them.
So the venue, this is the second time we've been to this venue. This is the TCU Amphitheater at the White River State Park in downtown Indianapolis. We saw Sammy Hagar and Night Ranger there a couple years ago, which was phenomenal.
19 again.
Right. Great year for concerts for us.
It was
phenomenal.
Epic. It was epic.
But they really upgraded and revamped.
Oh, man. They went from the temporary stage to a full-on outdoor event center. Covered, permanent seating, very
permanent bathrooms.
Down. Yes, it's a beautiful facility.
Right. Too bad the two opening acts couldn't live up to the initial thrill that we had from settling down into our seats. Again, this is going to sound very petty, but I still think this is something every venue should learn from the White River State Park venue, is that if people buy any seats, regardless of if they're lawn, just give them a chair.
Yeah. Free chairs to sit in the lawn. It was awesome.
We don't have to worry about bringing those things. And again, now everybody's getting all nutsy cuckoo about enhanced. You got to have the see-through bag, and you can only bring in, a blanket otherwise.
A woman's purse can only be so big. My wife's purse was a half-inch longer than the diagram, and they were going to make her check it. Until she mentioned that she had her medication in there, which she needed for her migraines, which she had one coming on, and said, "Oh, if your medication's in there, that's all we needed. Here, we'll put this little wrap around it, and you can take it in." Really? Come on.
But
And
if you
over a half a freaking inch.
But if you want to get to this point where you're going to restrict us, you're not giving us paper tickets. You're not going to let us take anything in except this very bare minimal amount of stuff. Then this is the type of thing you need to do. Now, the funny thing is, we usually go down to Noblesville, to the Ruoff Home Mortgage Music Center, where they charge you
10
for lawn
bucks
seats
for a chair to sit in the lawn.
And that's another Live Nation venue. Now, this is also a Live Nation venue, but for some reason, and the same thing with Sammy Hagar 2 years ago, you get in there and they've got plenty of these seats.
Yeah,
they're high quality, it's beautiful, and they're limiting you from what you have to bring in, which I thought was the point.
Yeah.
So why aren't the other venues doing this? No, we got to make more money. But they're both Live Nation, so where's the consistency?
Yeah, you get about a tenth of the audience at White River as you do at Ruoff.
Right. Or at Tinley Park. Same thing at Tinley Park.
Oh, God, yeah.
There's other issues there. But, which we don't know if we'll ever go there again.
Yeah, Tinley Park outside of Chicago. Tinley Park, Illinois, just outside of Chicago.
Terrible sight lines.
Horrible sight lines. They won't let you tailgate in the parking lot before the show.
But, getting back to our show from last night, so it was Matt Sucic.
Matt sucks? What? That's what I heard.
And he admitted he was going to say his name at least 17 times during his set. And goddamn it, he did.
Egomaniac bastard did.
And then
he said his name better than he sang.
Well, and then the next act, I still don't know how to say it. Normally, I would say Sean Barna, but I don't think that's how it's pronounced because there's a little accent on the A.
I think it was Bana.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
I don't know. He said he was of Irish descent.
So anyway, both of these opening acts blew goats.
They were not good.
And
good.
We thought to try to find the right sight line because of the new configuration. There were some obstructions because of the roof.
Right. The roof supports.
So we were all stressed out about that. We finally got settled, and then we're just hoping, let's just get some music going, and then we got to deal with these two idiots.
Matt sucks. Couldn't sing. He basically spoke. He was worse than Springsteen. As far as the vocals, but his lyrics, the songwriting was awful.
Here's what I was thinking. Okay, and
nothing made sense. Nothing. He couldn't get any rhyme or any.
Yeah, he did not rhyme. I noticed that he did not rhyme.
There was no rhyming at all.
It was stream of consciousness almost.
Yeah, it was just like him babbling into a diary.
It was just him
incoherently.
It was him on acoustic guitar, and then another guy who alternated between keyboards and electric guitar
and a
slide.
Electric.
Yeah,
but just when you felt a rhythm going, he blew it up. It was off. It was not good.
The only thing I was thinking about this today, as I was getting ready for the podcast, I was going to try to be positive. I know, shocking. So even though I'm going to break this concert up into two parts. So if you want to, that's fine. I think that's only fair, the way things went.
Yes.
I am going to give the opening acts one frenzy.
Oh, you're being more generous than me.
Here's why. I'm gonna first off with Matt Sucks. Yeah. I will give him a little tiny bit of credit. I thought he was trying to be like a modern day Paul Simon with his lyrics. I'm not saying they were good. I'm not saying he was
the Aaron Rodgers lookalike.
Aaron Rodgers and Dan Cortez's love child.
Yes.
Dude,
no.
step off. But yeah, it was painful. It was very, very painful. Again, I'm trying to be overly optimistic.
Oh my God, my head hurt.
And then Sean, you say what? What's his last
Was
name?
it Buana? Buana?
Barna.
Barna? I don't know.
I'm just gonna call him Sean Barna.
Sean Barna. Fine.
Comes out and he's got makeup
the
on.
Arizona women's field hockey team
Yeah,
is his
which
band,
Adam Duritz came out and introduced this one.
Yeah.
Which was just a joke. I think
it's got to be a joke, but
yeah. A little bit of a hint to the charismatic humor that we're going to get later. But yeah, he's got red eye kind of makeup going away from the edges of his eyes.
Wore
he's got
like
suspenders
a gypsy-ish type jacket, shirt.
Yeah, and we're still trying to figure out, was he more Bill Hader or Will Forte? Again,
you could understand.
He mumbled so much.
You could understand about maybe a tenth of what he said.
It was like this. My name is going to carry on the maestro. Sports Frenzy 2.0.
No, not even that. It was just, we're here to
you couldn't understand any of the stories or any of the background or anything he was saying.
You got about 1 or 2 out of 10 to 12 words that he said. Same with the vocals. And at least I will give the band
more
credit.
Energy.
He had more energy.
He had a full band.
Full band, more energy. Lyrics actually made more sense, what we could hear.
Right. I agree.
So if you break it down, we'll give him 3/4 of a frenzy, and Matt sucks 1/4 of a frenzy.
Yeah, now this reference you won't get. As I said, the one thing I pulled out of Matt Sucks It was that he was trying to, to me at least, try to be like a modern day Paul Simon. With Sean Barna, his vocal stylings reminded me of a band that I love, a little known band that you might barely know, called the Rainmakers.
Okay.
Lead singer Bob Walkenhorst, he sounded very similar to Bob Walkenhorst.
Yeah.
So that I was kind of like, okay, well, that's giving me a connection in my music synapses that But they both really sucked.
They were bad, but at least Barna was more entertaining. Everything made more sense. You had more of a rhythm to the songs.
Right.
That being said, I won't listen to either of them again.
Right. So, again, we're going to rate this separately. So, 1 frenzy for the opening acts. Then Counting Crows came on, and I was worried, going back to the start of the story, I was worried. The conquistador looked over at me and said, "What the hell have you dragged me into now, Maestro? What are you doing to me now?
What hell have you brought me to after the opening acts?"
Thank God.
The boys came through.
Counting Crows came out, started off right away with the hits.
Oh, it was a great show.
Adam Duritz was sharp, very, very, again, charismatic.
Very personable, and the stories off the cuff.
Rap. He gets a bad rap. He really does.
He doesn't deserve it because he is very engaging, very humble.
Kind of guy you think you could drink a 6-pack with.
Yeah.
Have fun with. Now I kind of understand why he was in the past able to rope in all these beautiful women to date. Because he's got that it factor. He does.
He's just a normal guy he's
a rock and roll star.
There you go.
But Counting Crows played for about 1 hour and 45 minutes.
Very good.
Depending on who you discuss it with. Some people were happy, me, with the entire set list, the entire show, even though I didn't hear every song I wanted to hear.
You're not going to with a band
that's got that many albums.
Right. They've been around for 30 years. You're not going to hear everything that you want to hear.
Right. So I was unbelievably happy. They did play as expected, the new EP, Butter Miracle, all the way through.
Oh my God,
without
I love
pause,
that.
because that's the way it's intended to be listened to.
Love that whole run.
One song flows right into the other. It's basically 25 minutes straight of music.
Yeah.
Going from mellow at the beginning and with the tall grass to the end, which the one you really liked, the Rat Kings.
The Rat Kings.
Yeah.
Oh, love the Rat Kings. When Billy and the Rat Kings come to play.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
Phenomenal.
And if you haven't seen it yet, I don't know if Dave has, but anybody out there, if you haven't seen it, there is a long form video of the entire 4 songs. That's like a mini movie.
Ooh, I'll have to go check that one out.
It explains the story that Duritz was trying to put together about the band Billy and the Rat Kings. So Clifton Collins is in it. Kind of a B-level Hollywood actor.
Yeah.
But a very cool actor. But yeah, they played Butter Miracle all the way through. Figured that was coming.
Yeah.
They got most of the hits in.
It was an enjoyable show.
Yes. I'm a big Counting Crows fan. I love them. 3rd time I've seen them. 1st time without incident. So I was extremely happy. I will give the Counting Crows portion of the show 3.5 frenzies.
I'm right with you at 3.5.
Yeah. Fantastic. And again, I was ecstatic. I had to go to Mrs. C. She was sitting between the Conquistador and I. About 2/3 of the way through, I kind of asked her, I said, "Is he doing okay?" She said, "Yeah, he's loving it. He's loving it." And then,
I did, like I said, I like the Counting Crows. Don't love them, but I thoroughly enjoyed this one, and hearing the whole new EP in its entirety, it's phenomenal. It gives me a new appreciation for them.
Yes. And again,
and I was surprised.
Adam Duritz always surprises me in terms of how I used to think he came off as a pretentious asshole.
Yeah. See, now I was surprised that we got Mr. Jones as the 3rd song into the night.
Oh, and Round Here was first.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were knocking out the big ones early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had expected them to be in the encore.
Right. Right. And like I said, there were still 3 or 4 songs that we didn't hear.
We didn't hear the Shrek song.
Did not hear the Shrek song.
Accidentally in Love.
Right. We did not hear Murder of One.
No.
I mean, I wanted to hear Angels of the Silences. Did not get that. But again, I was extremely happy. They seemed like they were tight for the fact they hadn't, as he said, hadn't been on a tour in so long.
Yeah.
This was one of the early shows in the tour.
Yeah, they had to postpone several because of a COVID exposure after their first show.
And the funny thing is, when we went to go, there was a huge backlog of people. And we're like, what the hell is going on? Why can't we get out? They got on the bus immediately.
Heading for Chicago.
Right. They're playing the Ravinia, not even tonight, though, tomorrow night.
Yeah, but they were hauling out. I wonder if they had something else going on.
Maybe a surprise show.
Could have been.
But yeah, again, 3rd time I've seen them. I am in love with the Counting Crows.
I have a whole new respect for them, more of an appreciation.
Of course, the protege had to bitch and piss and moan, but
well, she didn't get everything she wanted.
Yeah. She wants my daughter, my millennial daughter, wants the set list she wants. She basically wanted to construct it for them, hand it to them, and expect them to play everything.
Sorry, pumpkin.
I want to tell you a funny little quick thing, and then we'll move on. There was one Counting Crows album, because she's got that music thing for me where she wants to be the completist. Now, I know all the albums. They even threw one curveball at me. It was literally the one song they played off of Somewhere Under Wonderland. That had to be the one Counting Crows song I have listened to the least off of any of their albums. But Cassidy kept telling me, I really haven't listened to Hard Candy that much. I really haven't listened to Hard Candy. And I said, okay, well, they might not play much off it. They played 4 songs off of it. And I kept nudging her every time. I said, this is off of Hard Candy. This is off of Hard Candy. Just to dig it in on her because she hadn't listened to that album as much as she wanted to become familiar with the songs.
Well, there you go.
So that kind of made me happy.
Great show. If you get a chance, see them.
All right, music news. We're going to do some music news here. And then the second segment, we're going to do more along with our review of the new Night Ranger, ATBPO. But let's stick with touring news. And unfortunately, as we mentioned earlier,
COVID's rearing its ugly freaking head.
The latest news that came down today, Garth Brooks canceled 5 stadium shows.
Oof.
Again, we're getting that quote out of an abundance of caution.
Ugh.
Estimated crowds for these 5 shows at 300,000 people.
Oof. Wow.
Gone. All that,
That's a big refund check to write.
I was going to say, it's a lot of money they're giving back. You guys saw Korn and obviously reviewed them here on Sports Frenzy.
Yes, and now their lead singer,
Jonathan Davis,
has tested positive.
So they've got shows they've got to put on the back burner. And now, even though they haven't gone on a tour yet, Bruce Dickinson of Iron Maiden's got COVID.
Get over that before anything comes
Hopefully
about.
2022, you and I can plan on seeing them.
So.
The one that worries me, though, is this whole developing situation with Mammoth WVH. 2 shows canceled. Now, today, it comes out they've had to postpone a 3rd at the Whiskey A Go-Go. And the first 2 shows were openers for GNR. Not solo shows. They have some of those, interspersed in. All right, we got 2.5, 3 weeks before we see them.
Yeah, they better get their shit together.
Get your shit tightened up, Wolfie. Get it tightened up. Don't do this to me.
That's right. And our shows are all coming in before, and we're going to Live Nation venues for a number of these. October 4th, Live Nation will be requiring proof of vaccination or a negative test.
And of course, good news on the touring front is that Judas Priest is out. They did start up their tour.
Yes!
Rob Halford sporting the white ZZ Top-like beard.
Good for him.
Again, another one. That one and Wolfie are the 2.
Yeah.
You can't take those away from me. You just can't.
If you take the Priest away, my boys will throw an absolute shit fit.
We don't want that, and I don't want it. I'll throw a shit fit. I will literally fall down in the streets of Grand Rapids
and
kicking
crap
and
your
screaming,
pants.
yes, and go, no! You've got another thing coming.
Right from between my legs.
We're going to save new music news to go along with Night Ranger in the next segment. To wrap up touring, unfortunately, not rock and roll, but he's kind of like our generation's Frank Sinatra. Tony Bennett has dropped out of touring. He's done. He's out.
It's about damn time. I was never a big Tony Bennett fan.
Oh, I kind of like those lounge lizard crooners. I kind of like that stuff.
Yeah, but I've never, no, not Bennett. Not a fan.
And then now Kiss, I believe tonight, as we tape this on the 18th, their tour, their continuation of the End of the Road tour has started up, but David Lee Roth will not continue. Gene Simmons was very cryptic about why.
Yeah. What were you saying? Backhanded compliment?
Yeah, where he said, he basically, and again, paraphrasing, he basically said David Lee Roth redefined what a front man of a rock band is supposed to be. He was phenomenal. He was charismatic. He was unbelievable. Now I don't know what he is.
Which, after the last couple times we saw him front for Van Halen, we had to wonder ourselves.
Dog videos.
When he's out there narrating a video of him and his dogs running around in nature. Dave, what are you doing to us?
I can't believe the other members of Van Halen actually signed off on that.
I know. It boggles my mind.
That tells me that Eddie and Alex knew that they just were not Van Halen without Dave.
Yeah.
As many people out there that there are that love Sammy.
It wasn't Van Halen.
Yep. All right, so next segment, more music, but this will be more about new music. We'll be talking about some new stuff from LA Guns, from Nugent, from Ted Nugent.
The abomination that is the Highway to Hell cover.
Yep. Yeah, we got good and we got bad.
Very, very bad.
And of course, finally, at least for me, the biggest release since Mammoth WVH of the year, Night Ranger's new ATBPO album is out. The Conquistador has listened to it. I have listened to it. You will get our full review in the next segment.
Yes, you will. Stay tuned.
Listen to Sports Frenzy 2.0, the weekend edition, on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Breaker, Apple, Overcast, and Castbox, as the Maestro and Conquistador give their reviews and news on music, movies, TV, books, and more every Saturday. They can't help themselves. They have no control over this need to talk and scream. It's inside them. The fire, the voices, the torment.
Hey, all you rock and roll gods and goddesses out there in podcast land, welcome to Sports Frenzy 2.0, the weekend edition. I'm the Maestro, Kevin Crane.
I'm the Conquistador, Dave Height.
Taping here on the 18th of August, 2021. This will hit on the 21st. This is segment 2. We've got more music for you. We already knocked out the live stuff in the first segment. Now we're going to talk about new music here in the second segment.
Yes, we are.
This is an album review I've been waiting to do for weeks and weeks. We've got busy schedules. We got things we got to take care of, so it took a little bit of time. But Dave is finally on board.
Finally got into Night Ranger's ATBPO.
Of course, that means and stands for "And the Band Played On" as their homage tribute. I mean, that's positive. It's not positive, but the fact that even during the pandemic,
they continued.
They worked on new music and toured, as we saw them last year.
They got 2 or 3 shows during the lockdown phase,
including us. That was our one concert we got to see.
That was our one in 2020.
Yep. So this was. I'm biased. I am so biased. I will admit it right off the bat. Night Ranger is one of my top 5 bands of all time. Yes, you can laugh, whatever. I don't care. You can listen to Five Finger Death Punch. Take your guys with face tattoos. I don't care. Night Ranger has always been fantastic to me. They've got songwriting chops. They rock. They can do a great ballad if they need to.
And they put on a phenomenal live show.
Right. I think I've seen them 5 times now. And this album does not disappoint. Honestly, I'd have to go back a long, long way to find one of their albums. Maybe Man in Motion was a little bit disappointing back when they were starting to break up before they came back together. But ATBPO is phenomenal to me. I think this is a strong effort, maybe the strongest I've heard from them since they got back together.
It's
all those years
very
ago.
solid. I was kind of surprised on a few of the songs that had more of the country-ish vibe.
Okay, so now do you have, which songs did you like the most?
The ones I liked the most, Breakout, Cold as December, Monkey, and Tomorrow.
Very nice. And now I kept mine close to the vest, so Dave did not know which ones I was going to say. Cold as December was my number one. My favorite song on the album, by far.
Phenomenal.
And Breakout was number 3 on my list. Again, it's all upstairs in the maestro's head. I did not write it down. Didn't want to give the Conquistador any chance to look at my crib notes.
Yes.
Number 2 for me was Dance. I like the Cold as December Dance back to back. I think that's the strongest segment on the album.
Dance had that "We Will Rock You" beat.
All I could think of after I heard that was, why is it all my favorite bands like Rat make these songs about dancing where you're a hard rock heavy metal band, yet you make these great songs called Dance.
Dance.
But I can't argue with you on Monkey. Monkey's awesome. And now
you got the bonus track
because I'm old school. I'm old school, so I actually bought the CD and I got a bonus track called Savior, which is phenomenal. A little bit cynical, definitely rocks. I will give this 3.5 frenzies, and I'll tell you why. I am so picky with my bands. For any other band, this would probably be a 4. But I thought the Hardest Road was a little generic.
That was very poppy, and that had the biggest country vibe to it. That was the one I liked the least.
Yeah.
One.
I didn't hate it, but I was thinking you could do a little better, guys.
It wasn't Night Ranger.
Right.
And I think that's almost, what was it? Can't Afford a Hero was another one that I wasn't over the moon about.
I like that. I like that one.
So I wasn't over the moon about that.
Right. Now, in terms of what they've released to YouTube, again, in the old days when Dave and I were growing up, these would have been the singles.
Right.
Breakout came out first, and then it was Bring It All Home to Me, and then Can't Afford a Hero was third. And I think they're all solid releases. But again, Cold as December.
It's the best song on the album. I agree with you on
solid.
That one.
Very, very solid. And the whole, A Lucky Man is fine. It's
okay. It's poppy. It was kind of Blink 182-ish.
Ooh, look at that. A Blink 182 reference for Night Ranger.
So it kind of had that vibe to it.
Yeah. So again, very small, minimal flaws in the album. 3.5. They have not disappointed me.
I was going to go 3 because of more of the country vibe on the few that I wasn't overly wild about.
Okay. I'm just hoping. I know I'm not trying to be negative. I know I'm.
Let's see them one more time.
Well, yeah, obviously, but it's almost. I almost think of them like Van Halen in that I don't want them to ruin their track record with me. I don't want them to put out.
You don't want a tattoo?
Oh, stop it, Dave. Stop it. The Conquistador is making fun of me because I finally got a tattoo. I got the Van Halen 2 logo on my arm.
It's about damn time. You've only been talking about it for 20 years.
I might down the road get a Night Ranger tattoo. Might down the road. That is an awesome logo.
It is an awesome logo.
That would be a harder one to do, though.
It would be.
Would be harder. Now, of course, we took one of our Sports Frenzy logos.
We did.
From the Night Ranger logo. So, but I just don't want them to. If this is the last album, I don't know if it will be. I don't know.
I
Maybe
hope
they
not.
got 5 more in them. I don't know. But if this is the last one, I'm fine with it. I just don't want them to shit the bed. I don't want them to become one of those bands.
We don't want the shark to be jumped.
Right. And so far, so good.
Yeah, no, this one is definitely worth listening to.
Still rocking, still
It is.
tight, not embarrassing.
No, it is not. It is a solid effort.
And now, if you want me to, I can burn you a copy just so you can hear Savior, because Savior is so good.
Can play it one time when we're done here recording.
All right. Now, you said you did not get a chance yet to listen to Billy Idol's Bitter Taste.
I have not yet. That is on my list to do.
All I will say is I will fully recommend it. Kind of mid-tempo. It's not an out-and-out Billy Idol rocker like a Rebel Yell, but the lyrics are great. It's got a great hook to it.
It's like Dashboard Jesus.
Yeah. It's not quite as, it's not Eyes Without a Face type. It's a little bit more than that.
Okay.
I think you'll enjoy it, as opposed to, you said you haven't listened to Absurd yet.
No, that one I'm toying with.
I did a little research on that after we talked about that last week, and we were right. That is a Chinese democracy era leftover.
That's what we thought.
There's supposedly about 10 songs sitting out there that have had demos floating out in the internet world for the last 10, 15 years. And half of them are from Chinese democracy, and that was one of them.
There we go.
Yep.
As we suspected.
LA Guns.
Tracy has pulled them together?
Yes. As we have been reading, you have finished it. I'm still working on it. Reading the 500-page Bible that we will call our
rock Bible.
Sports Frenzy Rock Scripture.
Yes.
Nothing but a good time. Of course, a lot of LA Guns in there. So they are, yes, Tracy Guns did get his lead singer back.
Nice.
Into the fold. So Checkered Past will be the new album coming out. I like that title. I really do.
That's really good.
That's a badass title.
That I like.
November the 12th will be the release date for that.
You know we'll be talking about that one, kids.
Ted Nugent.
The Nuge.
Has been flirting with putting out some new stuff. There's a song out there that he recorded it on his phone, is my understanding.
Okay.
And he's kind of been letting those snippets out. But it's called Come and Take It. Supposedly part of a new album coming out late this year, early 2022.
Is there a chance we might finally get to see him?
Well, he's from Michigan, so he's got to be close by, right?
I would hope.
New album, Detroit Muscle, is supposedly the name of it.
Intriguing.
Which is interesting because wasn't Alice Cooper's last album called something like Detroit Stories?
Something
so those
like
guys
that.
are kind of digging into their roots a little bit there.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Detroit's got to get something.
We're seeing the Doobie Brothers.
Yes.
New song out, new album coming out, Liberté.
Liberté. You respect my liberté.
Yeah, I can't call it Liberty because it's Liberte with the little accent on, not umlaut. Umlauts are cool. Accents.
Umlauts are cool. Accents are kind of
yes.
It's an accent or a tilde.
Oh no, tilde's the jalapeno.
Okay.
Like the N on jalapeno has a tilde.
Okay.
Not Tilda Swinton.
Yeah, no.
One of my least favorite actresses. And of course, the big news on the new music front outside of Night Ranger, Mammoth WVH has slyly released 2 new songs over here, although they're hard to find because one, YouTube only, bonus Japanese track off the debut album. So the only way you can listen to it over here is on a YouTube video. Somebody posted it. It's a studio version, clean studio version called Talk and Walk. It is phenomenal. I love it. But that is the only, you can't get on Spotify. Obviously, you've got to buy the Japanese import version if you can find it over here in order to get this bonus track off
And
of
what was it called again?
Talk and Walk. Love it. Definitely would fit on the album, so I can see why it's a bonus track. I would just like to have seen it released here in America.
Quit being a frickin' import bag.
Tribute to Night Ranger, the focus of this segment. You can still rock in America, so why not give us all the bonus tracks?
Exactly.
Here. Why are you giving them to Japan?
They don't need it.
Hell, I would expect Night Ranger to give one to Japan because they're huge over there.
Exactly.
The other one, which they're playing live up until, of course, the COVID situation we addressed in the last segment. As Long as You're Not You. They've been playing that here a little bit. It shows. Not sure if I like this one nearly as much as I like Talk and Walk, but again, Talk and Walk is a finished, polished product. Whereas I think As Long as You're Not You is something they're working on.
Yeah,
right
something
now.
done in concert.
Yep. So some people have recorded the song on their phones at concerts, so can't find really great audio quality on it yet. So I'm not going to prejudge.
Right.
But definitely, from what I've heard, not as good as Talk and Walk. Finally, to wrap up the music portion of this segment, and then we're going to go to the Conquistador for a book review.
New book. I'm not digging into the old stuff. New one popped.
What is that supposed to mean? Because I'm going to have an old book review next week?
No, because
Are you giving me a hard time?
No, I've been reading back catalogs of authors.
We agreed that you could review old stuff if you had not either read it or watched it or heard it before.
I don't like to do that.
Well, bully for you. I'm going to review a 10-year-old book next week.
There you go.
Finally, though, we have to bring up
The Bastardization of Highway to Hell.
Yeah, we got to bring that up.
One of the all-time worst covers ever.
It was on my Spotify release radar. I decided to try and listen to it. Bruce Springsteen, Eddie Vedder, and Tom Morello doing a cover of Highway to Hell.
And it should go straight to hell.
Yep.
It's an abomination. It's god-awful crap.
The problem is Bruce Springsteen should not be singing this song. And it's not because I don't like his politics, because I hate all three of their politics.
He can't freaking sing.
He can't sing that song. That's not a song that's fit for his vocal style.
No, it's not. He is more of the
it's
speaking, singing type thing, and this calls for all-out vocals.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we just saw, as we reviewed Counting Crows, that music is more along the lines of what he could sing.
Right.
You know, storytelling.
Yes.
Mid-tempo. This is balls to the
Wall
wall rock and
out.
roll. Like David Coverdale could sing this.
Oh, hell yeah.
You know, but Bruce Springsteen.
No, he should not even make an attempt at this.
No. But this is a trio, three liberal namby-pambies who think they're smarter than you, better than you, and they know it.
They're not.
Deciding they're going to desecrate one of the greatest hard rock anthems of all time.
They did a disservice to music with this one.
Right. Yeah, we're not really rating individual songs, so we're not going to give it a frenzy rating, but yeah, just
it sucks.
Stay away from it, kids. And we do have to bring up, even though he's one of our least favorite rock stars of all time, Bob Dylan is in trouble.
Being accused of
sexual abuse from 1965. Now, here's the thing. We're skeptical about stuff like this. We always are. Sorry, but the woman is not always right.
Or she's looking for a payoff.
When I first bounced this off of Dave a day or two ago, the first thing he thought
was she in therapy, and is this a repressed memory, in quotes, that the therapist helped her, in quotes, discover?
I went back and did more research. I still can't get confirmation on that, but here's the thing that really, really makes me wonder about this allegation. There is an extended time frame now for this particular type of crime. The statute of limitations has been expanded. But she filed 2 days before the extended statute was to expire. 55 years after.
Awfully convenient, isn't that?
I find that very odd. And go ahead, rip us apart. You don't support women. You ripped on Naomi Osaka this week.
No, we
and
do
you ripped
support
on Megan
women.
Rapinoe. We don't like people who manipulate. We don't like people who lie. All they want is a paycheck. Those are the people we don't like.
We will question the questionable.
If it smells like a rat and it looks like a rat,
odds are
it's a rat. Just seems very odd, very convenient how this all came out. But we shall see.
We'll let it play out. We just question it.
Usually Hollywood and the music industry protect their legends. So
we'll see if it's actually true. Down with Bob.
Yeah, the story has the same old earmarks, though. He plied me with alcohol and drugs. Because it's always got to be like that. Because if he didn't, then maybe it was willing.
I don't know. And why are you doing drugs and everything
at that age?
Yeah.
All right, so you have got the Conquistadors book review for the week.
Have a book review. The Saboteurs, the latest from Jack DeBrule under the Clive Cussler name. Rest in peace, Clive. This is the latest Isaac Bell of the Van Dorn Detective Agency. These take place, started late, really late 1800s, 1900s. Right now, we're at the building of the Panama Canal. And somebody is trying to sabotage it, trying to assassinate Teddy Roosevelt.
Not Teddy. I love Teddy.
This is a follow-through from the plot to originally assassinate him. This is the second attempt by this particular group. So this one starts out, poor Isaac has to meet with a senator trying to find out what's going on with the canal, because Uncle Ted is one of his father's best friends. So he's grown up knowing Uncle Ted Roosevelt. And starts off with a bang with an assassination attempt on said senator, and Isaac to the rescue. And of course, he wants to follow up with what's going on down there and the chaos that ensues with the kidnapping of his wife. And it's a nice little roller coaster. You know how Cussler books typically ebb and flow with unbelievable stuff. DeBrule does a nice job. He's a decent author. He's written these from the beginning. So it's a decent one to follow up. It's nothing spectacular. It's a 2.5, Frenzy.
How many books? I know there's multiple series. And you got the Dirk Pitts, and you've got the Oregon Files.
I do not read the Oregon Files.
So how many are in this series, the DeBrule series?
Oh,
there's got to be a lot by now.
There's probably 8 or 9 at least.
Okay.
So because he's got Dirk Pitt, as you said, the Oregon Files, which I never got into, the Kurt Austin,
Mhm.
the Isaac Bell, and you also have the Fargos. So he's got 5 series, 4 of which I will read.
Right. And of course, I can't be a hypocrite. Like I've ripped on James Patterson for this, you know. Why do we have to have all these series where he's just, you know, his name is just making money for other people? I don't like it. I have never liked it. I don't
either.
like it. I don't.
I don't either. I think it's crap.
If these I
Now maybe he had the initial idea for it.
We have
and
praised,
had help.
We have praised. I'm not saying we're hypocrites, but we have praised Vincent Lardo for carrying on the Archie McNally, which they still, I don't understand why they stopped those. The Archie McNally novels, Lawrence Sanders, Archie McNally novels. Vincent Lardo came on and continued those.
Brilliantly.
And they were fantastic.
Brilliantly.
We've got Ace Atkins, who has continued Robert B. Parker's Spencer novels.
Yep. And not continuing on with the Cole Hitch of Spencer. So it's
but
there.
Those, I don't know why, but seem like they're more legitimate to me. I don't know why.
Because the author passed before they started writing them. So it's still written under Robert B. Parker's whatever, because it's his character written by so-and-so.
Right.
Patterson, he just throws his name on there and then the other person's name who actually wrote it.
Right.
Ergo, I think the same with Cussler. Now, there is a couple of them I think Cussler actually started writing or did the bulk of the work on, the first ones, and then had some assistants come in. So that might be why he still got it there. I don't know the Patterson routine.
Yeah, and eventually here, coming up in the next, hopefully 2 to 3 weeks, we'll have a review of the new James Lee Burke novel. It's not a Robichaux.
No, it's...
But the thing that scares me is I know Alifair Burke, his daughter, is doing Mary Higgins Clark now.
Right.
I hope this is one time where I hope, unless they can find the absolute perfect author, they don't pass it along.
And
it's like when Jonathan Kellerman passes, I don't want Jesse.
Delaware.
I don't want Jesse doing Alex Delaware.
No.
I don't. The one book of his I read was terrible. Terrible. And I know they're working together now on books. It scares me.
It's scary. It's a scary thought.
You got to remember, kids, these are characters that we love. I love Dirk Pitt, Clive Cussler's Dirk Pitt.
Dirk Pitt has been around since 69, 70, right around that era.
Yeah, roughly. Yep. Of course, back then, Raise the Titanic was the big one in the early books.
Yeah.
Not the first, but the first was a Mediterranean caper.
Right.
But that's the one everybody knows because they did make a big budget flop of a movie.
With Roger Moore.
And then, of course, they tried again later on with Sahara with Matthew McConaughey and Steve Zahn.
Which was a decent flick, but
I didn't mind it. But again,
still didn't hold to that
these authors out. If your name is not Stephen King, who will sell any of his books for a blowjob and a piece of a pumpkin pie.
Oh, I was going to say a 6-pack and a kilo.
Yeah, back in the early days, yes. After he got off the laundromat job.
Yeah.
But a lot of these other authors, like Cussler, are very prickly and very particular about who they want portraying their characters, who they want producing, who they want directing, and Hollywood doesn't like that.
Right.
Hollywood doesn't like these authors saying, I want you to use this guy. No. Once you sign the rights over to us, We do what we want to make the most money.
Yeah. Very rarely do you get that
That's
unity.
That's why we've always wondered, why hasn't there ever been a movie or a TV show on Alex Delaware?
Right. Probably because
Kellerman probably is
doesn't
holding
have,
tight to the
he's
rights.
like, you're not going to F this up.
Right.
So
We've seen John Sanford's Prey series get screwed up
twice.
You know, Dirk Pitt again.
Twice.
Well, Sahara was okay.
It was okay,
I didn't mind Sahara.
It was okay, but it still wasn't that Dirk Pitt
Right.
movie we've
the
wanted.
penultimate Dirk Pitt. Yeah, the one that we always wanted. Right. I agree with you on that. And again, these are properties that Dave and I have loved for decades.
Yes.
And we agree with the authors to the extent that we want them to be done right.
Yeah, don't just do them correctly.
Right. Now, Parker was lucky in that right off the bat with Spencer, he hit it.
Oh, with the TV show, yeah.
Yeah. Now, since then, they fucked it up completely. With Joe Mantegna.
Yeah.
And then now the
Confidential crap.
Awful Netflix movie with Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah. Now, they did get the Western right.
Yes.
But
Appaloosa was fantastic.
Appaloosa was phenomenal, but that's because Ed Harris took that to heart. He loved it so much, produced it.
And
and it was true.
And that puts me to mind of James Lee Burke, our favorite author, well, my favorite, one of your favorites, where Tommy Lee Jones did the same thing. He wanted to do Dixie City Jam,
right? But
he eventually settled for doing In the Electric Mist,
which still phenomenal.
Yes, hell, I even like the box office bomb Heaven's Prisoners. I thought that was great,
with the exception of Terry Hatcher's topless shot.
Yeah. Her boobs are so low.
They're real, but they're not spectacular.
Yeah. I mean, literally, she takes a bra off, and those things are down in China. That's how low they sink. All right, kids.
Another segment coming up.
We have got movies coming up next.
Hey, kids. This is the Conquistador Dave Height.
Along with the maestro Kevin Crane.
Join Sports Frenzy 2.0 for the unfiltered opinions on sports those talking heads on the Eastern Seaboard networks just don't have the balls to give you. We'll tell it like it is on Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, Pocket Casts, and Breaker, calling out the dumbasses. In the sage words of Red Foreman,
the way he's screwing up his life, death would be a sweet release. All right, kids, welcome back to the final segment of Sports Frenzy 2.0, the weekend edition, taping on the 18th of August. This is going to hit on the 21st. We are available everywhere you get your podcast: Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Breaker, Apple, Overcast, and CastBox. I am the maestro Kevin Crane.
I'm the Conquistador Dave Height, and we have a movie review for you.
Not a theatrical release.
No.
An HBO Max.
HBO Max. No sudden move. Don Cheadle, Benicio del Toro,
David Harbour,
Ray Liotta.
I don't know if we should mention the special uncredited movie star that's in it towards the end. This has only been out for about 3 weeks, so maybe we should hold off on that.
Let's hold off on that.
I don't want to be a spoiler. I hate spoilers.
Yeah, we will forego that one.
Let's just say there is
an uncredited bigger.
It's not a cameo because
no, it's a full on role
towards the end. Yeah, a couple big scenes. Yeah,
yeah. Kind of a 50s. I don't know if we could quite call it noir.
That was my problem, is I didn't know how to classify this. This one really puzzled me.
It kind of defied normal categories.
The closest thing I could, in my head, come up with was the recent Fargo with Chris Rock. It had that same feel to me.
It did.
You had the black community and all different classes mixing in together in this crime,
Yeah.
debacle.
Based on the auto industry,
Yes.
on a Cadillac convertible, as Ray Liotta called it. Stealing the plans for a catalytic converter back in the 50s. And
because they didn't want to comply with emission standards.
Right. They didn't want to admit that smog was an issue. And the whole job from the beginning was a cluster.
Right.
Anything that could go wrong did go wrong in this one. And it was interesting the way it was filmed because it almost had that fisheye.
At times it did,
At
yes.
times, like it was being filmed through the door peephole lens where you look out to see who's outside. It had that weird effect
I noticed that too. Yep.
Through about half the movie.
Yep.
So
yeah, like you were looking in to see Aaron Andrews undressing.
Yes.
In a hotel room.
Basically, that's
Yes, I'm a dirtbag. Deal with it.
So, and Brendan Fraser, he put on a lot of weight on this role, or he just put on a lot of weight. Did not look like him.
Well, he occasionally on Doom Patrol, you will see him, and he's gotten heavier, but not like this. This,
I think maybe he took it on for the role. I don't know.
Because if not, he needs to get with a dietitian and get himself in shape.
Yeah. But all being said, Cheadle and Del Toro were phenomenal.
It's nice. I don't mean this to sound like an asshole, but it is nice when Benicio del Toro actually plays a role where I can understand what he's saying.
Yes.
Because he has a lot of times in The Usual Suspects where I love him. I love that movie. It's one of my all-time favorites. The whole point is you don't understand what he's saying.
Right.
It drives you crazy. But that's not the only movie where he does that. This one, very clear-spoken. When I can understand what he's saying, he's always a great actor.
Yes. And phenomenal in this one. I really enjoyed this one. So, well put together. Great plot.
Steven
Writing was
Soderbergh
good.
is a director.
Yep.
So it's got a big screen pedigree.
It does. It's just an HBO Max exclusive.
A lot of these movies are doing this. They're just going straight to the streaming services.
Yeah, instead of straight to DVD, you get this. But with the streaming, you get not just one A-list actor. You get a whole cast of A-lists.
Yep.
And very happy with this one. I give this one 3.
Good. I'm glad you went first. I didn't like it.
You didn't like it at all?
I didn't say at all. Don't put words in my mouth, David. I give it a 2. I'll give it a 2. I had problems with it. To me, it didn't hold up. It seemed fragmented to me. It just seemed like I didn't understand what the hell I was watching. I mean, I understand the whole thing about at the end it comes together. It's the catalytic converter conspiracy. You need to watch The Nice Guys. You really need to watch
I need to watch
because The Nice Guys, this is set, like you said, about 30 years before The Nice Guys. Nice Guys is set in the 70s. Same premise. Conspiracy involving the auto industry. Nice Guys has a ton of action, a ton of humor, very quick-witted, very quick pace. Characters are all enjoyable, likable. Literally, I didn't like anybody in this movie at all. I didn't. I couldn't side with anybody.
I think that's why I liked it. It was just a very neutral. Here it is.
But I still, maybe it's just me. I just couldn't put it all together. John Hamm is in it as well, and is he a dirty cop? Is he, his actions at the end tells me he's
He is
He's
on the
not-
take.
He's on the take, but he's honest. Kind of.
Kind of,
Sort of.
He's an honest on the take cop. Really?
Yeah. Now, at the beginning, I thought it had promise. I really did. You get the traditional double cross at the beginning, and everything, like you said, goes to hell.
And then the greed kicks in.
Right. And then, of course, our, who shall be unnamed big guest star
Makes
his speech in his first scene is just, you could tell
it's an
somebody
egotistical,
wrote that.
arrogant.
No, somebody wrote that. That's not how people talk. Nobody talks like that.
No, nobody talks that way.
That reminded me of a Shakespeare play. Nobody talks like he talked in that first scene. Sorry, I don't know.
There you go.
Now
you had problems with it. I didn't have quite the problems with it.
Well, and maybe Soderbergh's the problem, because I was looking up his movie history, because I know he's a big shot in Hollywood and he's done a ton of movies, and I just wanted to look back at his filmography to see, do I really hate his stuff? Do I really love his stuff? And it's a mixed bag, just like this movie. I mean, one of his early movies is one of my all-time underappreciated favorites, Sex, Lies, and Videotape. That was one of his first movies.
It was okay.
See, I kind of like that.
I wasn't.
Of course, he won acclaim for Traffic. Now, for me, that one was eh.
That was eh.
I hated Erin Brockovich.
That was awful.
Using her language, a fucking passion. I hated it, because that's all Julia Roberts did was curse in the goddamn movie.
Yeah, Erin Brockovich was overrated.
But then he recently did Logan Lucky, which I thought was fantastic. The prison NASCAR with Channing Tatum and Daniel Craig. Brilliant movie. Probably his best, in my opinion. Never got the credit it deserved. But, of course, then he did the stripper movie, the Magic Mike. He did all the Oceans movies, the Oceans reboots.
That were,
which, again, up and down. He did do the Elmore Leonard, Out of Sight, with George Clooney and Jennifer Lopez early on.
Okay.
So, again, I go back and forth with him. Yeah. And this one, just something about it didn't connect with me, and I can't put a finger on it.
Yeah.
Cheadle. I liked Del Toro. David Harbour's character didn't make any real sense to me. You could have got anybody to play that. Harbour didn't really have much to do other than basically play a patsy.
Yeah, that was the point of it.
Yeah, but I mean,
I took it as
an emerging actor. I would have thought he'd wanted a role that was a little bit meatier. Then again, I don't know if any of these roles really had a ton.
None of them had a lot of meat to them.
Yeah, I mean, nobody had really big scenes, really big moments.
No, I think what I liked was how the characters Cheadle and Del Toro played kind of interacted. And how they're thrown together, didn't quite care for each other, but wound up working well together, and the diverging paths that they wound up taking at the end.
Yeah. No, sorry.
And kids, don't expect a happy ending.
All right. Movie news, and then we'll get to some TV and streaming news. Venom 2 is a small victim of COVID. Venom 2 has been pushed back to October the 15th. Let There Be Carnage.
Yep. Previews for it are interesting.
Again,
I don't know where to go. I wasn't over the moon with the first one.
See, I'm with you on that. And you and I must be in the minority, because it made over $200 million
I don't know
domestically. I am not.
My boys liked it.
Anybody that knows me knows I'm not a big fan of over-the-top CGI stuff. Venom is over-the-top CGI
it has
to begin with.
It has to
I know. But beyond that, it didn't really do much for me.
No, and my boys really enjoyed it, and they're dying to see this one. And on the previews, I'm like,
I got a black
really?
Venom and a red Venom.
Oh, we
Great.
got Venom and we got Carnage.
Yeah. So
Great.
where's Spider-Man? That would make it interesting because they are enemies of Spider-Man.
Yes, they are.
And I don't think without Spider-Man this works.
No, they're trying to do the one-off, and it's the anti-hero thing,
Well,
and it's not going...
Yeah, they're getting into the whole, let's do these movies about the villains, and it's failing, at least creatively to me. Box office-wise, doing okay.
Creatively, they're bombing.
Harley Quinn bombed. I didn't really like the Joker that much at all with Joaquin Phoenix. But everybody else loved it.
See, I did not like the previews enough to even watch it.
Yeah.
It looked abysmal.
I don't see how you can enjoy the villain story without at least a little bit of the hero involved.
Yeah.
You know, the enemy, the antithesis. So maybe that's just me.
No, I have no desire to see Venom 2.
Word came down today that Captain America 4 is a go.
Yep, Anthony Mackie signs on to play Cap.
Yep. And this was the if you guys listened to our State of Sports Frenzy address at the beginning of our normal episode earlier this week, I mentioned, as Dave mentioned, a sports broadcasting incident that set him off. This was the one that set me off. Is because I happened to scroll down on the story when I saw this, and I shouldn't have done it.
Never scroll.
And I saw all the comments and all the nastiness going back and forth. I have always said the Falcon, if you were going to have any kind of progression, it's like Batman, Robin should become Batman. The Falcon becomes Captain America. It's not the stupid shit like they're doing with Thor, where Jane
becomes Thor.
I know the comics did it. I don't care if the comics did it.
The comics
were
wrong.
PC before the movies, and now the movies are just following suit. It's stupid as fucking hell to have Jane Foster become Thor. I'm sorry, it
doesn't fly.
Now here, the Falcon, Sam Wilson, has from the 70s has always been the heir apparent to become Captain America.
Yes.
So does any of this bother me at all? No, not in this case. I've always loved the Falcon.
Right. It's a solid character, and the mantle has been passed.
But of course, you've got people on both sides being fucking idiots. You know, the people who are saying this is PC crap that Marvel's pulling because they've been jaded because of all the other PC crap that Marvel's pulled. They don't realize this is the one time where
it was actually written in canon. It's Marvel canon from way back.
It's a logical progression. The one time I will say a logical progression, it is not PC.
Right.
But then you've got the idiots on the other side saying, you don't know jack crap and go to hell and Marvel won't miss you. You keep that attitude up, and
You're
people like me who are starting
everything.
to get screwed. I don't like the other stuff Marvel's doing.
Right.
And these assholes who want to say that kind of stuff can
screw everything up.
Eventually, the whole Marvel brand will erode because the rat's involved.
Yeah, that's the big problem.
Let's not worry about Anthony Mackie playing Captain America. That's fine. Let's worry about the shit that's going to come out with the Eternals.
Oh, God, the Eternals looks absolutely god-awful.
Let's worry about, here coming up in a couple of weeks, as they like to say, Shang-Chi. It's Shang-Chi! I've always called him Shang-Chi. I don't care what anybody thinks. He will always be Shang-Chi, master of Kung Fu to me, and it still looks like it's an abysmal movie.
Does not look good. Sorry, the previews look awful.
Those are the ones we need to worry about. Not the Falcon becoming Captain America.
That's as it should be.
All right, last little tidbit of movie news before we move on to TV and streaming. I thought you would like this because I know you and Mrs. C and the boys like to delve into the occasional drive-in movie.
We do.
Loudon, Tennessee. The first daytime drive-in is debuting.
How the hell are they pulling that
found
off?
some kind of LED technology where they can pull off a daytime viewable screen.
Color me intrigued on
Yes.
this one.
So we'll have to see how this plays out in the future. If somebody else
See now,
somewhere else will jump
Ugh.
on this bandwagon.
God, that's got to be pricey though.
Well, of course,
After-
the first is always pricey.
But again, on top of what all the studios made the drive-ins do to be able to show movies now, they had to
convert to digital.
upgrade everything to digital.
Right.
Now they're going to have to upgrade yet again. No. This is getting ridiculous.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. I just found it very interesting. It's a very interesting development. I'm always intrigued by movie technology and where it's going to go.
It is. I just think it's a needless cost.
The one thing I'm really happy about, Secret Kids. The maestro hates 3D, and he's so happy 3D's biting the big one.
3D sucks, according to the Conquistador, and it's headache-inducing, and it sucks.
So we're both happy.
Yes, we are.
That was a fad that held on a little too long.
It held on a hell of a lot longer than I thought it would.
In the home viewing experience, it was a complete failure.
Oh, as
Those
always.
3D TVs did not stick.
No.
All right. A little bit of TV news. I always love to do this to Conquistador, just give him some stuff he might not have heard to reinforce our thoughts.
Why is my eye starting to twitch?
Oh, it's just more lack of creativity on Hollywood's part, so don't worry.
Of course.
But I do have a little bit of good stuff. Of course, the Field of Dreams game we talked about in regular Sports Frenzy.
Right.
Well, because I got to assume because that was actually so popular, Peacock is going to do a Field of Dreams series.
Why?
Based off the movie.
No.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's coming.
Stupid.
AMC is redoing Interview with the Vampire as a series.
For God's sakes, no. No, let it die where it belongs. Put a stake through that thing's heart.
Viacom CBS is being sued over, remember the Lincoln Lawyer, obviously.
Right.
They were going to make a series based on that. David E. Kelley was a producer on that. They committed a ton of money to it, and then Viacom CBS pulled the plug on it. So now that's going into litigation.
Oh, for the love of all that's holy.
As the producers want their money back.
Well, they should get their money back if they pulled the plug on it.
All depends on when they did it, what the wording of the contract is, All right, if you haven't had enough of Ryan Murphy on FX, if you haven't had enough of American Horror Story and American Crime Story, the anthology series has just been renewed for season 2 on Hulu. Now we're going to get American Sports Story and American Love Story.
So what, is this becoming the Chicago whatever from NBC going over to...
Ryan Murphy basically owns FX right now.
Oh my God. Dude, just stop.
And
Stop.
The funny thing is, you never see this kind of stuff coming. When I watched Nip Tuck, one of the first shows on FX, and I love Nip Tuck. It was twisted, it was demented, it was
pretty damn good.
Never thought Ryan Murphy would turn into this, where he's basically running FX.
He's getting these bullshit shows, and yet Terriers got canceled after one season.
And again,
I am not letting that go.
We still need to know, left or right.
I am not letting that one
I'm
go.
with you, man. You know that, left or right. Left or right. Where are we going, left or right? Terriers is not the only show to ever finish or get canceled before it got a complete resolution, but to this day, it will always be the one that the Conquistador and I bitch and piss and moan about the most.
Because it was a phenomenal show that should not have been canceled after one season. FX has held on to other crap way too long. This one was phenomenal.
But one show that FX is holding on to that we would agree is not crap. Season 3 of What We Do in the Shadows coming soon. Already been renewed for season 4.
Yes.
The vampires will be around at least for another year or two.
I like it.
And I'm very intrigued to see what they're going to do to resolve what happened at the end of season 2.
Oh my God.
With our favorite familiar Guillermo.
Guillermo. Yes, the long lost relative of Van Helsing.
Bad news. Now that you say that, you just made me think of something. They might be going PC with that. They might be. I've read this. They might be.
It's FX. You can't go PC on FX. The
Rat owns it now. The Rat owns it now.
Oh, screw the fucking Rat.
They are going to. The rumor is they are going to imply.
Damn Disney to hell.
That Van Helsing was Hispanic. That's why Guillermo has Van Helsing blood, is because Van Helsing was Hispanic to begin with.
What?
Yes. I'm just telling you what I heard.
How do you get Hispanic out of Van Helsing?
They'll probably change his name.
How do you frickin' get that?
I'm just telling you what I've heard.
Screw you, Disney, you morons.
They'll figure out a way to fuck everything and anything.
Oh, my God.
Last bit of good news before we move on to Moments of Silence and the dumbasses of the week. One of our favorite shows is coming back very soon. Tacoma FD.
Yes.
September the 16th.
Broken Lizard returns.
Yes. September the 16th.
Yes.
They return. Very, very happy. That show is everything we love. It's incorrect. It's wrong. It's
on
gross.
Every level.
Yeah, Broken Lizard never gets the credit they deserve. They've always been so funny. From
they are
to Super Troopers to the Slam and Salmon.
They are the closest thing we have to Monty Python today.
Or National Lampoon. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Love it. Love it.
Tacoma FD, kids. Check it out.
And the good thing is, since True TV really has nothing else.
There you go.
Hopefully, they'll stick around for a while.
Yep. We have started season 3 of Titans.
Yeah, we're not going to review it yet, obviously. I was shocked they released 3 episodes instead of 1.
Yes, that was a nice surprise.
And so, of course, the Red Hood is prominent.
Very prominent.
In season 2.
It's not disappointing to this point.
No, we're both through a couple of the episodes. Definitely still up to the stellar level of seasons 1 and 2.
Definitely.
Brenton Thwaites is just perfect as Dick Grayson. I mean, he's fucking perfect.
Nails it to a T.
I'm telling you, he is absolutely. I can't give the guy enough credit. He's the center of the show as Robin / Nightwing now.
Yeah, and
the guy is perfect in the role. He's got the brooding intensity. You know, he's banging everybody, every chick, every female superhero. He's banging.
Done.
And then I'm sorry, but I can't really be in a relationship right now. Every one of them.
Okay. We still love
Starfire, Wonder Girl, even
Dove.
Barbara Gordon. Barbara Gordon in her wheelchair is like, nice to see you again. Thanks for walking out on me. Sorry, I wasn't ready for a relationship. I'm a brooding superhero. But he's great. I love it. I love him.
It's well cast.
But all of them are great. So yeah, we'll have a review for you down the road of the full season 3.
Once the full season is done. Check it out. It's not disappointing.
Yep. Moments of silence. One quick one here. I've got Nancy Griffith, the folk singer, passed away. Don't really know a lot of her work, but by all accounts, very influential in those circles.
Yep.
So
kind of Pat Hitchcock, the daughter of Alfred Hitchcock. She'd been an actress in her own right, has passed away. And for all you Sherlock fans out there from the BBC, Una Stubbs, who played Mrs. Hudson, the landlady,
Wow.
has
I
passed
did not
away.
know about that. Very good. I mean, not good, obviously.
Right.
Good that you picked that up because I
So,
missed that one.
Thoughts and prayers to their families.
Of course. I do have one weekend edition dumbass.
Pray tell.
My daughter and I were discussing wussy music. 35 years removed. Between my growing up years in the 80s and her growing up years now. And we were talking about what bands were wussy when I was growing up versus what ones are now considered wussy.
Okay.
And I mentioned back in the 80s it was Culture Club and maybe Wham. And I told her, I said, if I was looking at music now, and I looked at a band that I tried to get into that I thought maybe at first could be good and they turned out to be wussy, is Coldplay.
Yes, I will agree with you on that one.
You know, Chris Martin, married to Goop herself. Gwyneth Paltrow now, of course, they're divorced and she's selling vagina-scented candles, but we could get into that another time.
That's a whole other story and a whole other podcast.
But of course, something's happened with Chris Martin now where the new Coldplay album is coming out soon. 5 of the songs are going to not have titles, but emojis.
Oh, for the love of everything.
I'm just thinking, this is so easy. Oh, poop emojis! Oh, poop emojis! 5 poop emojis for those songs for Coldplay. Because
Coldplay.
You are the new wuss band of all time. Here in the modern era. Chris Martin and company.
You go.
For the Conquistador, Dave Height.
For the maestro, Kevin Crane.
We hope you enjoyed the weekend edition as we did. Check out our regular Sports Frenzy discussions every Thursday morning, all over the place. Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, everywhere. Yep. Also, check out our weekend edition every Saturday morning. As you just heard, we rip apart movies, music, TV, reviews.
Everything. Shoot us a comment. Give us a rating.
Like our Facebook page. You might love us, you might hate us, but you can't ignore us.
We're that thorn in your side.
We'll check you out next week, kids.